I'm just using this as an excuse to gush and talk about Jujutsu Kaisen. Hello everyone, I'm Ratu, your hot mess reader, and the Malaysian Booktube community, or also known as Booktube Malaysia, has done some interesting or organized some interesting challenge, I guess. So what they're doing is that every month they set up a theme for a video content that we are challenged to be doing. So I am trying to take on the challenge, or this month's challenge, which is membina kekuatan, or basically means building strength or strength building. And you can call me cheating, or I'm using manga called Jujutsu Kaisen as my reading material that ties or relates back to the membina kekuatan concept or building strength concept. So as you can see here, Jujutsu Kaisen is a manga series or Japanese comic series written by the mangaka or sensei Gege Akutami, and it tells the story of a protagonist called Yuji Itadori, who is a normal standard high school boy who got whisked away into a Tokyo sorcery school after consuming a cursed finger or a cursed item called Sukuna, and from there he manifested some kind of sorcery power, or in this case called curse energy or curse technique power, and these teacher there and the friend that witnessed that enroll him into the sorcery school of Tokyo to undergo training and subdue this particular villain that holds all this cursed finger and also possessing his body as well. So yeah, that's the premise of Jujutsu Kaisen. And honestly, when I say I'm using this as a excuse to gush about Jujutsu Kaisen, it's because the anime is lit. The movie was released also in the month of March, was amazing, superb, spectacular, and obviously it revived back my love for the series or my appreciation for the series. And yeah, I ended up buying this. So this is volume 8, where it picked up after the anime ended. So I am aiming to collect them all from volume 1 or possibly volume 0 as well. A lot of the move that was adapted into the movie. And yeah, basically trying to build a collection on this story and hopefully become one of my Shounen series that I can commit to, because let's be honest, Shounen series are just a pain in the ass to commit to, and I salute for those that can be committed to such things, because I don't. Now, how at the heart I want to tie into this theme of strength building. As you can tell, any shonen genre, so who are not sure about what shonen genre means, it basically means, loosely translated, shonen just means a young boy, or in this case, the attributes or the most conventional, very stereotypical attributes to a young boy or boy in general is all about physical strength, the masculinity of the zero to hero story, and all those things. And usually, of course, because it's, you know, the stereotypical attributes of to a young boy, they will feature a male protagonist and yeah, adventures and coming of a story to achieve a particular goal. So most of the time, the shonen genre or the famous shonen series have these particular ingredients or elements of formula in storytelling. So those are the essence or key things about shonen. Of course, there are, you know, cases where they don't follow that linearly, but what I wanna, you know, ponder about and just, you know, cheating my way here to gush about this thing is that strength building, while at the heart or easily can be attributed to, you know, physical strength, knowledge and skills that we can see outside, it can also be the strength in building spirituality, emotional stability, and also your mental state. And I believe not just any other shonen series, but even Jujutsu Kaisen also tackles this kind of particular strength building, not only in the physical attributes, and in this case, because it touches on sorcery, it also touches on Yuji Itadori building his sorcery or curse power strength in this particular series. Then we also have, of course, when I discuss and gush about this, it's gonna be spoiler territory. When it comes to shonen series in general, and also Jujutsu Kaisen, the strength building not only touch upon the physical attributes, but also the emotional, and also what I like is about the moral and principle dilemma that they have to face through and manage through and come to their own resolve. So I believe those are the things that we tend to bypass it through. And what I find interesting as well about Jujutsu Kaisen is that other than the coolness and the gorgeous characters, the blue eyes of Gojo Satoru, that's the only blue eyes I can appreciate. But at the heart, critically, in terms of each of their character, development, there is a point or goal, strength to build within this particular story. So like Yuji Itadori, he has his own moral compass and dilemma as well. The first premise started off that how he ended up, being whisked away into the Tokyo Sorcery School was that his friends in his normal high school was being attacked by the cursed finger that he found and gave it to them, and he felt partially responsible for that, because if he hadn't found the finger and gave it to his friend, he wouldn't seen their friend almost facing death, almost died in front of his eyes, and in fact. So from there, it developed him a sense of purpose and a sense of trying to find his way through in life as well, because he was just a normal high school boy who was just going through the motions, and backed up with his grandfather that died also in the short span of time. It gave him some sense of thought that, like, he realized that he doesn't want his friends to simply die away being eaten by these monsters. So he felt like there's a need for him to push through, be strong for them, and protect them. And what I like, the sentence or the quote he says, is to give them like an honorable death. Like, he wants to protect people before their actual death or their deserving death. He doesn't want them to die unnecessarily, especially when he feels part of those factors he could control, or there was an element that comes from him. This is very interesting on that perspective. Then we have other people's perspective on building strength regarding their principle and moral dilemma. We have one of his female friend, Nobara Kukizaki. And let me tell you, all the female characters in Jujutsu Kaisen is lit and badass and just cool. In fact, they passed the Bechdel test, which a lot of shonen storytelling fails, is their woman characterization, because they always make her marry Sue as a love interest, like a freaking, they call it sexy lamb. And it's quite refreshing to see that female characters in Jujutsu Kaisen have their own goals, and a lot of the time in their own conversation between females to females, they don't talk about boys at all, they don't talk about males at all. They really just talk about their own goals. And even if it's just the materialistic thing like Nobara, who loves shopping, it's still, something refreshing, because she loves feminine things, but she's also loving herself as being a strong woman. So that's very interesting. And what I like also in Jujutsu Kaisen is that a lot of the male characters defy the stereotype of being that typical brooding. I mean, they have the coolness they still maintain that coolness of the shonen genre, but there's more feminine traits there. For instance, in Yuji Itadori, as previously mentioned before, with his moral dilemma, he has more compassion. That's why there's such a thing as a moral dilemma or a conflict when he faces his journey in rising and building strength. And that's very interesting to see, because he's very empathetic to a certain degree and very compassionate. So when he sees this particular cursed spirit in this story, who possess a human or somehow utilize a dead human body, he felt disturbed. He's bothered by it because he was forced to actually kill. And, that really hurts him, like pain him to see that, because he felt like, and obviously he felt like he was too late to save this person from being a sacrifice for the cursed spirit. That's also the part where Nobara Kugisaki comes into place. She has empathy, especially to her female friends or her female senior, Maki Zenin. As you can tell that she really admires her, and in fact, maybe to a certain degree, empathize or sympathize towards Maki when heard about the family circumstances of Maki have to face. But at the same time, when in a very, harsh situation where she and Yuji Itadori had to face, especially in the last episode of the anime and within this particular manga, it shows that even though she had to force or she had to kill, or she just realized that she had actually killed a cursed spirit possessing a human body, it didn't really disturb her that much as compared to Yuji, who somehow lamented about it. And I think that's a very interesting take or scene, because not many people and not all women act like Yuji, in certain circumstances. I can relate to Nobara because there are certain scenes or situations in my life that my reaction is pretty much like Nobara Kugisaki. Basically, I don't let it bother me that much, even though I know that it's like a concern. It's concerning because somehow you ended up like killing a human. But in that particular situation, what was I supposed to do? And in Nobara's case, she was level-headed about it, which is very good in a situation where your other co-worker, colleague, or friend like Yuji is facing such heavier moral dilemma in that particular situation. So that was very refreshing to me to see that, because as someone who is quite level-headed and or lack expression or emotion in a lot of situations, I tend to relate Nobara in this case. What can you do? But you can only move forward, and I think that's where anime stops at there. But I think it gives you a good setup in the building that strength, particularly because in the first season we focus on Yuji honing his physical skills in the sorcery or the sorcerer curse power. So that was a really good take on strength building or membina kekuatan in Jujutsu Kaisen series. And what I think is very interesting about this particular theme, it is very a relatable thing in our everyday life and also the fictional world, because it is really the core of relatability. You come into this world, you accumulate and inherit skills and knowledge and a lot of attributes or raw talent or energy, but then you will eventually decide or be asked or tasked to set a target or a goal or build a repertoire in your life to succeed in something. And in doing so, you need to build further on your natural skills and talents or accumulate new things along the way, along the journey that is called life. Raw and simple element, but that can construed and be used and expand into various things. Stories are one of it. They're all, telling us about one person's journey and how they build strength. And it doesn't have to be, strength just in knowledge, physical prowess, or whatever, skills that people outwardly see, but also the strength within. And it's so fitting in the upcoming Ramadan month, where a lot of us as Muslims will focus on honing strength in our own faith and spirituality. For Ramadan is the case, as a Muslim, that's like the everyday struggles. Anything apart from spirituality is also part of your strength building in whatever you want to achieve. Say your career progression, because I have to say it, I'm a professional worker, so leveling up is the way to go if you're a gamer, you know what I mean. Something that is every day, you know, we may not see it, but it's very refreshing to see that it's been told again and again in storytelling media, because it humans us and humanizes, and it just reminds us about the humanity and the humility of strength building itself. Because we are not, you know, a freaking goddess or something. We are just a normal human being and strive to better ourselves. So I think that's very interesting and touching at the core of the shonen genre and, you know, the Jujutsu Kaisen premise. I don't know what else to say. I mean, apart from everything I've said, you know, like if you want me to say superficially, the guys and girls are all gorgeous. That's all I'm gonna say. The storylines are cool, the power technique are cool, the lore elements they use. But if you look closely or analyze, think back, at the heart it is similar to Hogwarts or Harry Potter universe. But that's another time. If you're keen, you can read my blog, the anime blog, about it. But yeah,